thinking about this whole idea of raising the minimum wage is the wage compression idea. I don't know whether the governor has done an analysis. It doesn't sound like maybe you've looked into it that much, but what I'm fearful of, if somebody already is making, let's just use $12 right now, an hour, and we raise somebody's minimum, somebody now is making 8 and they go to 12, isn't there going to be an expectation from the person who's making 12 that their wages now have to raise, they now have to be raised whatever percent that's 50%. Maybe they'll still come back and say there's a 50% increase. Because conceptually, like I said, I'm an accountant, not an economist, but I think there's an inflationary factor here that I think could be impacted, and maybe you can give me an idea whether you've looked into that or given any thought to that.
No, I haven't. That's a good point too. That's another thing that probably needs to be looked at. Again, I'm not an economist or a CPA, an accountant. I graduated in finance with a finance degree, so I just don't know. What I do know, again, Representative, is what I see when I'm out there talking to businesses.
Now, one thing too, and I think I don't know whether I'm going to steal Representative Gobbler's thunder. I know he didn't get a chance to finish his comments, but maybe where I was going is, he comes from a very rural county. I come from a county that's not so rural, although people think it is. But look at Bucks County versus a Bedford County. I mean, there's a huge wage disparity. I mean, somebody making $12 in Bucks County probably has a hard time making ends meet. Somebody making $12 in Bedford County might actually not be doing too badly. And I'm wondering if there's going to be an analysis done or looking at the like regionalization statewide on the dynamics of what the minimum wage impact is. Because I do think those are the areas where we need jobs and where we need job creation too. I don't know whether there's any thoughts or whether you've
that's a good point. I think it all needs to be looked at. I don't know, again, the legislation. I don't know the parameters around that. I think I don't know if labor and industry is better to ask that question too. But
here's the other thing too, and like I said, I know it's a politically sensitive issue, but I look at my nephew who's 16 years old now. He's making greater than minimum wage in Lancaster. Now he's not making 12, but and I think Representative Topper had referred to this earlier, and that's what I'm saying. I took some notes down. Don't we want to try to encourage a work ethic in our young people and try to keep them motivated? Because I do think in an analysis, I think there's going to be a need to say, hey, how many young people aren't going to be hired because of a wage that now is $12? I'm just saying, depending on how high that goes, I think that's going to be an issue. I'm just saying that he might not have a job. He works hard. He wants to work, and I think we need to encourage our young people to do that. I'm just saying there's.
Absolutely.
I'm just making that comment,
okay.
Moving forward. The other thing, too, and once again, it's a politically charged issue, and Representative White talked about workforce development and job training. And there was a comment made before, and I respectfully kind of disagree that if we increase the wage, I don't think we're not going to get people out of poverty. I don't think raising the minimum wage is going to raise people up to a standard where it gets them out of that. But what I do believe is that I think workforce development and job training does. And I think that's what DCED is here for. And unfortunately, it seems like we get caught up in Harrisburg talking about minimum wage when we should have laser tunnel vision on job creation. And then, I'll use Lancaster County, for example, with Thaddeus Stevens. Representative Sturla, about 80 or 90% of that campus is in his district, and the remaining 10 to 15% is in mine. And they're graduating kids at a rate of 98%, and I think the average starting salary is like $50,000. I mean, we talked about some of the different programs we're putting money, but when you look at a school like that, maybe we need to be focused and say, hey, these are the jobs we want. These are the jobs we need. We have a drain of young people moving out of the Commonwealth. You know that. The demographics are showing that.
Right.
I'm just saying, I don't know what your thoughts are, but maybe our focus should be more on that and maybe less on the minimum wage subject. At least that's in my mind. At least, like I said, it's a politically charged issue. I get it.
Right. No, that's a great point, Representative Greiner. I think, from our standpoint, it needs to be a number of different things. The skills gap is really what we've been laser focused on, and what the skills gap, what we need to do to really fill that skills gap. And that includes. Again, not everyone needs to go to a four-year degree program, get a four-year degree program, get a four-year degree. But it's the career and technical centers, it's community colleges, it's the opportunity for kids when they're in high school to have different paths that they can go on. It's options for them, and not just one option. So, we'll see a lot of this in the command center. We really believe that we're going to get good information out of that. It's just not a bunch of us from Harrisburg sitting around doing this, but people from outside in the business community that are going to talk to us about what they see the needs being.
Well, like I said, we're definitely the Keystone State. I think we have a lot of good young people that want to remain here. We have a lot of great opportunities, and I think that we need to, like I said, I think we need to be focused on maybe those issues even greater so than maybe this minimum wage issue. Just in my own thoughts.